the crash of a Hurricane at Walton-on-the-Naze 85 years ago. But we are delighted to say, as we look to the skies, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome, from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, we have the Spitfire and we have the Hurricane.
So we have these...
Closer look at these two legends of the sky.
The Spitfire, the most famous military aircraft of all time and arguably one of the most beautiful ever built. The Spitfire is perhaps chiefly remembered as the symbol of the Battle of Britain. Meanwhile, the Hawker Hurricane is the unsung hero of the Battle of Britain. This aircraft, born from the famous Hawker design stable, was the creation of the great Sidney Cam and was his response to the RAF's urgent requirement for a low-wing monoplane fighter to balance the threat from Nazi Germany and its rearmament during the mid-1930s.
I've heard pilots in the past say that the Hurricane was one of the hardest aircraft to fly. As we see it now, leading the Spitfire again past us, we get a wonderful view of the undercarriage of both aircraft as they sweep round and over towards a very large vessel out there, actually. I'm not sure if that's a wind farm
Fixer-upper?
Service vehicle or it's a fixer-upper, but it's a massive boat right out there. And they're zooming now into the sky away from us. The Spitfire, Sam, one of the latter versions that we had. This one, the
yes,
Mark
the Mark 19. Yes, the Mark 19 Spitfire, and this particular version was used for photo reconnaissance, one of the last ever built.
The growth in Spitfire squadrons was just simply incredible. By the outbreak of war in 1939, 9 squadrons were equipped. In spite of vigorous demands from France, the Commander-in-Chief of Fighter Command refused to send any Spitfires to France during the German Blitzkrieg of 1940. The wisdom of that decision was clearly shown. By July 1940, RAF Fighter Command had 19 Spitfire Mark I squadrons available. Once the RAF modified their tactics to properly counter the Luftwaffe, the Spitfire Mark I proved to be the only British fighter capable of meeting the Messerschmitt on equal terms. Often the outcome of a combat depended more on the quality of the pilot than his aircraft. More Spitfires was built than any other British combat aircraft before or since World War II, a total of 20,341.
Now, this particular Spitfire, as we said, was the Mark 19, registration PM631. She currently resides with the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar, and they restored her into the colour markings that she would have had at the first ever flight of the historic aircraft flight, the predecessor to BBMF, which took to the air on the 11th of July, 1957. The aircraft fly past us on the seafront there, you'll see the beautiful blue colour scheme with the yellow propeller spinner. Flying the Spitfire this afternoon is Flight Lieutenant Andy Priest, MBE. He has over 4,000 hours on 13 aircraft types, notably the Tornado GR1, the Hawk and Harrier GR7. Later in his career, he was the tutor display pilot. He's been with the BBMF for 6 years.
Just listening to the blend of the two aircraft engines as they flew past our microphones here at the BBC Essex commentary point. I hope, even if you're listening maybe thousands of miles away from the county, you'll have heard that. And I guess you might have had the same goosebumps that I had I'm lucky enough to be able to see them too.
And of course there's a double whammy, Ian, because we've got the Merlin engine in the Hurricane and the Griffin engine in the Spitfire, which was introduced into the latter editions of the Spitfire in the later part of the war. They were considered the more advanced, powerful engines, which helped in the success to ultimate victory.
2,050 horsepower engines. I mean, it was just incredible.
Now this Hurricane, PZ865, is 80 years old last month in July. It was the last model of Hawker Hurricane built from a total of over 14,500. She first flew on the 27th of July, 1944, and wears the inscription, "The last of the many."
The aircraft are based at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. The Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight operates several aircraft, tirelessly working to keep these beasts in the skies. We were hoping for the Lancaster bomber to come to see us in Clacton this year, but speaking to one of the team a little earlier, telling us that a radiator is needed. It's been laid up now for a few days. It'll take a few more to sort that radiator issue, but of course we hope to see him back in the skies very soon. I think there's just 2 airworthy that we do all we can to keep flying. Lest we forget is the motto of the Battle of Britain.
And the other Lancaster's based out in Canada. Back in 2014 she made an appearance at the Airshow season here in the UK. Now, talking of maintenance and upkeep, Ian, the Hurricane is undoubtedly one of the most complex of the wartime fighters to restore. It's got an intricate melange of steel, aluminium, wood and fabric, and it represents an immortal